Good evening. Thank you for coming tonight. I'm Erin Dibble, and this evening we'll be talking about the positive impact that pets have on children. So to start off, I just want to go through the goals of what we will achieve tonight. First, I want to present the benefits of owning a pet, followed by going through some options for you and what's best for you and your family. And then after we go through those options, I'll show you a cost analysis of what pet costs what and what startup costs are and everything like that. And then lastly, we will examine responsibilities that are expected of you and mostly your son, hopefully. So to start, we'll start with the benefits of owning a pet. And the first benefit I think is really important, and it's really quite interesting, is that pets actually help with learning. Reading in particular, which I know your son is starting to do, to be interested in at least, in learning sight words. And what an animal does is provide them a non-judgmental companion to be there to read to and read through things. There was a study done in which children were asked to read to an adult, read to a peer, and then read to a dog. And then they were sorry, excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold. So after they read to each one of these people, or the dog, their stress levels were taken. And what the study showed was that the children were the least stressed when they were reading to the animal, to the dog. So a non-judgmental companion is really nice to have for a child to just read, know that nobody's making fun of them, no one's judging them or hounding them about this. They're just reading to enjoy reading, and the animal can just be there for them. It's really nice to have that kind of support, and it gives them the confidence they need to learn to read. Second is pets provide comfort. As you can see in this photo, this forlorn girl and the dog is just right there with her, comforting her. And it's so nice to be able to have that. Kids need comfort from wherever they can get it, and just having an extra thing as a pet is really nice. Children who turn to pets for comfort are rated less anxious and less withdrawn from by their parents. And I'm sure you can remember a time when you were a kid, I know I can, when my cat would just come and she just knew. She knew when something was wrong or I was sad, and she would just sit with me and comfort me. And it's just really nice to have another thing to be there for them, to comfort them. Next is they help with nurturing. Pets encourage nurturing behaviors. Children need to practice these behaviors before they get to adulthood to get them in tune for when they have kids. Parents really kind of show them what those behaviors are, but they really do need to get that practice in. It's a really important thing to have. And girls get a lot more practice. They play dolls, they play house, they have that kind of play that allows them to practice caring and nurturing behaviors. But boys really don't engage as much as girls do in those behaviors. So to have a pet there to actually care for and learn those kind of behaviors is really beneficial early in life. Pets help keep kids healthy. So when I first started reading this article, I was thinking, yeah, of course they do. They keep them active, they keep them playing, and they do that. But what this article is actually saying is that they actually boost your immune system and help keep you from getting allergies. There was a pediatrician who's the head of allergy and immunology at the Medical College of Georgia, Dr. Dennis Ownby, and he conducted a study that suggested that children who are exposed to animals at an early age were less than half as likely to develop common allergies as children who had no pets in the home. And that's pretty significant. 50%. That's pretty significant. No one wants allergies. No, everyone wants a boosted immune system. Why not? You know, it's just an added benefit, really. And then lastly, pets help build family bonds. It just creates a common interest. The whole family can get around and get together to do something together, whether it's walking a dog or playing together with an animal on the floor. It just gets the family closer together and helps create a bond. I mean, pets really do become a part of your family, and so it's really nice to be able to spend that time together. So now we're on to options. There's many options. There's so many things to think about when you're thinking about getting a pet. The first thing is think about the abilities of your son. I know that you want your son to take on most of the responsibilities, so that's something that we really need to take into consideration when you're thinking about what kind of pet we can get to make sure that he can take care of the pet, mostly by himself. Also, the size of your living space. I know you're renting, you don't have that much space to have a large animal around the house, so that is also taken into account. The expense, how much money you want to spend on a pet, or how much money you don't want to spend. And then also, with the larger animals, they require more food, which is more of an expense. They have more attention by a veterinarian and more potential for damage to your property. So those are big expense issues. Taking that into consideration along with the size of your living space and that you want your son to be taking care of the pet primarily, I would advise against getting a large animal, anything that needs to be walked or anything like that. So I would suggest getting a small caged animal for your son. He can take on the most of the responsibility through that. So the first option are hamsters, which, yeah, when you think of a small caged animal, yeah, you might automatically think hamster. I know I had hamsters when I was little, but really, they might not be the best thing. They're nocturnal animals, so they'll be awake all night. I don't know if you plan on keeping the animal in your son's room, but if that were the case, the hamster would probably keep him up all night. As well as they may resort to biting if they are awoken suddenly. So if your son wants to play with him and he's sleeping during the day, which he most likely will be, he may bite him. Basics, they require food pellets, clean water, chew toy, they need an exercise wheel to keep in shape, and their age or their lifespan is about 2.5 to 3 years. Rabbits, I know that your son really does want a rabbit and they're adorable, but they are a lot of work, so I'm not sure if it would be the best thing. They do require a large cage inside the house. They're not made to be outside. It needs to be inside in the family area, and they do require a large cage. They're crepuscular, so they're most active during dusk and dawn, which is fine. I know your son gets up very early, so I'm sure they would be able to play together. And again, basics, they require food pellets, fresh water. They also require some fresh veggies and fruit. And they need at least 1 hour out of their cage each day. And they have a long lifespan. They have about 10 years or more. Next is mice, which are smaller, independent animals. They don't really need as much of your attention. The problem is that they're very small and nimble. So especially a 4-year-old, he may have some trouble holding them or handling them properly, which could be frustrating to your son and may actually put the animal at risk to getting harmed. Like the other animals, they require food pellets and clean water, an exercise wheel, hiding house, bedding, and they have a pretty short lifespan of 1.5 to 3 years. So that is something that's up to you, but you may not want to have your son cope with the death of an animal so soon. And then lastly, we have guinea pigs. They do need a lot of time socializing with people every day. They love to be around people. They love to socialize. And they do require some grooming. If you get a short-haired variety, you can brush them about once a week. The long-haired need to be brushed every 1 to 2 days to keep up with that. You don't want any knots in their fur. They do require a larger cage, and they, like the others, need quality food pellets, clean water. They also need fruits and veggies, and timothy hay, which just aids them in digestion. They also need a hiding box and bedding material. Okay, so now here's the initial cost. So as you can see, the total cost at the end of the day range from $77 for a mouse to $192 for the rabbit. The adoption fee. This is what I would suggest. If you are going to buy a small caged animal, instead of buying it from a pet store, the prices are about the same. And if you adopt an animal from an organization like Lollipop Farm, you cut out the need for pet stores to keep producing more and more of these small animals. So there's that. These are the startup costs. After the initial cost, the cost to maintain is about $30 a month, which is pretty insignificant. That's really not that much when you think about buying a dog or a larger animal food, which is maybe $40 every 2 weeks. So then let's think about the responsibilities, what Eli needs to do, your son. Feed the animal a pellet diet every day. Supplement pellets with fresh leafy greens and vegetables. Clean up any leftover food so it does not spoil. Make sure that the water bottle is filled with fresh water. Scoop up soiled bedding. You should probably help with this. It can get a little messy. And then the one thing that you really need to do is clean the cage once a week. I know I've spoken to your wife and she said that she would handle that messy business of cleaning the bedding. And then the last thing Eli can do is the most fun, play and handle his animal every day. So my recommendation is a guinea pig would be the best match for Eli for the following reasons. It's easier to handle because of its size. It's a little bit bigger. It's less likely to get injured, and also Eli has a little something to cuddle. It has a longer lifespan. He can have a nice long time with his pet, which is nice. They're friendly. They don't bite. They love to socialize and be with people, which is also great. And in the long run, they're pretty inexpensive. So summing up, no matter what animal you choose, some of the obvious benefits are the same. A pet will help him learn and become a better reader, provide him comfort in times of stress and sadness, encourage him to be a nurturing person, help him stay healthy with exercise and a boosted immune system, and keep the whole family connected through a common interest. So as you can see, with everything laid out in front of you, the benefits of getting your son a pet really outweigh any of your apprehensions about it. And really the joy that a pet will bring to his life will also bring joy to your life. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Yes? You didn't have snakes or reptiles on there. Is there a reason why you didn't have those? And was that something we might think about getting?
Snakes and reptiles? Most snakes and reptiles contract the bacteria for salmonella, which is a really bad disease, especially in young kids. So I would really just stay away from them. Plus, I know your son really wanted kind of something cuddly or something he could snuggle a little bit. So I would stay away from the snakes and reptiles. Does anyone else have a question? Yes?
How do I go about the adoption process?
That's actually quite easy. At Lollipop Farm, they are so great. You can go, you meet with an adoption counselor. They help you find the right pet for you. They go through a questionnaire to make sure that your home is safe to have the pet. And then you just go through and you pick out, or your son picks out who he likes. And then it's just that simple. You pay them the $15, $20 for the adoption fee, and you can take your pet home. Does anyone else have any questions? I want to thank you so much for coming this evening, and I know you'll make the right choice and allow your son to enjoy having a pet. Thank you. Good night.